Every time you take your drone out flying, it's your responsibility to make sure you're doing it within the confines of drone law. In this video, we'll be discussing drone regulations such as line of sight flying, flying over crowds, and avoiding aircraft airspace. We'll also discuss what you need to know about registering your drone and earning your license to fly. Chris here from Videomaker. There are timecodes below if you want to know what we're covering or want to jump to any place in this video. For a limited time, we're giving away our industry white paper on how to pass the FAA Part 107 test for drone pilots. If you ever plan to make money with your drone footage, by law you need to get certified, and our report will help you pass the test easily. Sign up today at videomaker.com/drone or click on the card. There's a lot of important information regarding drone laws. The FAA has put in place several laws and regulations to ensure the safety of those around you and to help you avoid hefty $1,000 fines. While we're going over all the essential information you need to know about current drone laws, it's important that you always refer to the FAA's website for the most up-to-date information regarding their rules and regulations. You can always find the most up-to-date information at the FAA's website, faa.gov/UAS. Whether you're flying your drone recreationally or commercially, you need to understand the rules of the sky. According to the FAA, if you have a small drone that is less than 55 pounds, you can fly it for work or business by following the Part 107 guidelines. To fly under Part 107 rules, there are 3 main steps. Step 1, learn the rules. Step 2, become an FAA certified drone pilot by passing the knowledge exam. Step 3, register your drone with the FAA. Let's start with step number 1, learn the rules. Before you're ready to fly your drone, you have to do some homework. There are several rules that the FAA has in regards to flying your drone. Similar to the rules of the road, these rules are designed to keep you, the pilot, and the people in proximity of your drone safe. Study and memorize the various FAA rules and regulations for flying drones. You don't have to memorize every law word for word, but you should be able to know them well enough to ensure you're following them all while operating your drone. Thankfully, the FAA offers a study guide for pilots needing to take their knowledge exam. You can access the FAA's Unmanned Aircraft Systems Study Guide on faa.gov. Though we won't cover all of the rules in this course, we can cover some of the most important ones, starting with flying line of sight. The FAA defines flying line of sight as flying with vision of the drone without needing any aid from devices other than corrective lenses like prescription glasses, the remote pilot in command, and the visual observer if one's being used. Additionally, according to the FAA, the drone pilot needs to be able to see the drone throughout the entire flight to ensure that they know the drone's location, determine the drone's altitude, know its direction of flight, observe the airspace for other air traffic or hazards, and determine the drone doesn't endanger the life or property of another. The ability to fly over people varies depending on the level of risk that a small drone operation presents to people on the ground. The rule is flying over crowds is not permitted, though the FAA has some exceptions to that rule. Drones that weigh less than 0.55 pounds are permitted to operate over people. This weight needs to include everything that's attached or on board the drone throughout the flight. The drone also can't have any exposed rotating parts. When flying drones over people, it must be done within or over a closed or restricted access site, and everyone on site needs to be aware of the drone will be flying over them. Additionally, the drone can't sustain flight over any person unless it's a person participating directly in the operation or if the person is under a covered structure or in a vehicle. Next, always avoid flying near or over airports, sporting stadiums, and any other restricted airspaces. This may seem obvious, but once you start flying your drone, you'll notice just how many private or restricted airspaces are in your area. Some drone software allow you to launch your drone near restricted airspace. So make sure you check the area you plan to shoot in isn't restricted before you take flight. The next step in flying under Part 107 rules is becoming an FAA certified drone pilot by passing the knowledge exam. Think of this test as taking the written form of a driver's test. The goal of this test is to make sure you know all of the rules of the sky so that the FAA knows that you will respond correctly when faced with a variety of scenarios. The certification, known as the Remote Pilot Certificate, is only valid for 2 years, so you'll need to take it again once that period expires. To be eligible to get your Remote Pilot Certificate, you must be at least 16 years old, able to read, write, speak, and understand English, be in a physical and mental condition to safely fly a UAS. You'll also need some documents. The FAA requires a few documents to take the test, so take some time to gather them all before you take the test. The FAA requires identification that includes a photograph, signature, and home address. You'll have to present one of the following: a graduation certificate or statement of accomplishment from a pilot's training course from an FAA-approved pilot school, a written statement from an FAA-certified ground or flight instructor confirming completion of ground instruction, logbook entries by an FAA-certified ground or flight instructor confirming completion of ground instruction, a certificate of graduation or statement of accomplishment from a ground school course, which could be either a high school, college, adult education program, the Civil Air Patrol, or an ROTC flight training program. A certificate of graduation from a home study course operating under study material provided by the Aeronautical Enterprise. If you fail the test and have to take it over again, don't worry about it. You'll just have to show either the unsatisfactory AC Form 8080-2 Airman Written Test Report or an Airman Computer Test Report. There isn't a limit on how many times you can take the test, so if you fail, don't worry. Study some and take the test again. When you're ready to take the test, you can take it online through the FAA's website. The final step is to register your drone with the FAA. This is to certify that the drone you're operating is yours. You can register through the FAA's site. Registration costs $5 per drone and is valid for 3 years. After those 3 years are up, you'll have to register your drone again. After you're finished registering your drone the first time, you'll receive a registration number. Once you get your number, make sure to mark your drone with the number somewhere visible. The FAA requires that drones have their registration numbers marked in a visible spot. The best spot to put the number is somewhere on the drone's main body. This could either be on the drone's propeller arm or on the top or side of the drone's hull. The FAA has created regulations for drones so that the operator and those around him will stay safe. Always fly your drone safely within the FAA guidelines and regulations. Also, make sure to consistently check out the FAA's website to see if there are any updates regarding regulations or new laws being enforced. Drone laws are consistently being changed and added, so always stay up to date. And lastly, always keep your drone's registration and your pilot's license up to date. It's up to you as a drone pilot to know the rules of the sky and where it is and is not safe to fly. No matter where you shoot, always prioritize safety. If you follow the procedures and laws put forward by the FAA, you should have both a safe and a legal flight. If you made it this far, consider subscribing and liking this video. And don't forget to click on this card to get our industry white paper on how to pass the FAA Part 107 test for drone pilots. In the next video, we'll cover all the gear that every video professional should have. Thanks for watching.